Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining today's OnBoard limited release question and answer session for payers. Please keep your phone lines muted. We will be taking in your questions through the chat box. When sending your questions in the chat box, send them to all panelists. Today we are joined by project leadership and subject matter experts from various areas of the Workers' Compensation Board. To begin, let's review the most common questions we have received so far from payers. What is the process when a PAR is submitted by a provider? This functionality will mirror what was done with the formulary previously. When a new PAR is submitted by a provider in OnBoard limited release, it will be routed to the payer on record for the claim to which the PAR is associated. The workload administrator can then assign the PAR to a reviewer who will then have access to it on their dashboard. An email notification, similar to the drug formulary notification emails, will be sent to the email address in the workload administrator and reviewer's profile if the user has opted in to receive notifications. Your organization's online administrator for the formulary will automatically be granted access to administer the notification email and users for the additional PAR types. What information is needed for PAR notifications? To receive email or text message PAR notifications, select My Profile and then My Account from your OnBoard dashboard. Under Notification Preferences, you can select PAR status updates by email, new items in your queue by email, or text message updates. The email that was used upon registration is the email that will be used for email notifications. If you opt in to receive text message notifications, ensure you have a phone number entered on this page and have selected Mobile as phone type. What are the requirements for Level 1 and Level 2 reviewers? The Workers' Compensation Board does not have requirements for a Level 1 reviewer. The Level 2 reviewer must be performed by the carrier's physician or a designated medical review organization. The requirements to be a Level 2 reviewer, the carrier's physician, in the regulations are as follows. Carrier's physician means a physician or physicians licensed by New York State or the appropriate state where the professional practices, who is 1, employed or contracted by the insurance carrier or self-insured employer, or 2, is employed by a URAC accredited company retained by the insurance carrier or self-insured employer through a contract to review claims requests for non-formulary agents and advise the insurance carrier or self-insured employer, and 3, is not employed or contracted by the carrier or self-insured employer's pharmacy benefits network. How can payers access OnBoard? Payers who had access to the drug formulary application were automatically given access to OnBoard. Online administrators should ensure that workload administrators and reviewers are designated for all PAR types and the email address for notifications is correct. All others will need to follow the registration process. The registration process can be found on the medical portal, access, and administration web pages. With your registered ny.gov ID and password, you will access OnBoard through the medical portal. Is the payer required to notify the injured worker of its decision on a medication PAR? No. The medication PAR is the one exception to the notification requirement. All other PAR types require the payer to notify the injured worker of a decision. Will OnBoard limited release be replacing eCase? OnBoard limited release will not be replacing eCase. All prior authorization requests, including new PARs created in OnBoard limited release and PARs that were processed and completed in the former drug formulary application, can be found within the case folder in eCase. Can a reviewer have a staff member perform the clerical duties and submit the case so long as the clinical review was done by the reviewer himself? The system is currently set up in a way that the Level 2 physician reviewer must be the one to perform and enter the review. Each sign-on is unique to the user and based on their ny.gov registration. If the workload administrator assigns a staff member as a reviewer, they would have access to the case, but the physician reviewer would be responsible for entering the Level 2 decision, which is required to be performed by a physician. Can reviewers delegate a decision to someone not registered with OnBoard? There is no delegate functionality for payers in OnBoard Limited Release. The reviewer must be able to access OnBoard and enter their decision in the system. Has the board pushed back the deadline for drug renewal or refills for certain medications? As of March 7th, 2022, with the launch of Phase 1 of OnBoard Limited Release, refills and renewals must comply with the formulary. Will there be a grace period for providers who send paper requests after OnBoard launches? There will not be a grace period. All prior authorization requests must be submitted by providers and responded to by payers through OnBoard once each phase goes live. If you continue to receive requests from providers outside of the OnBoard system after each phase begins, please do advise them that they need to submit through OnBoard. The board will be doing the same. Likewise, payers should not act on any PAR received outside of OnBoard Limited Release. Please also note that requests for refills for continuity of care should not be affected by any administrative delays that may be caused by the transition to OnBoard Limited Release. This is especially true for medications in which abrupt discontinuation can have severe adverse clinical consequences. Thank you all for participating. We hope today's webinar helps prepare you for Phase 1 of OnBoard Limited Release and Phase 2 coming. If you have any questions following the webinar, you can email onboard@wcb.ny.gov with general questions or call 877-632-4996 for other questions. If you have not already, subscribe to receive WCB notifications where we will send all information about OnBoard as each phase approaches. Lastly, the new OnBoard webpage contains detailed training and new resources for payers. We encourage you to visit this website to review everything you need to know. At the closing of this webinar, you will be linked to a survey. Your input here is greatly appreciated to help us plan and improve future sessions and update our OnBoard resources. Thank you all again and have a wonderful day.